We've come a long way since Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Wait, no we haven't. This week's Odd Movie Comparison, we pin two of the most critically disregarded, made-for-kids CGI tales against each other. It of course is Clifford the Big Red Dog versus 2021's Tom and Jerry. Roll the clips! Now, even though they're both meant for kids, they vary drastically in the type of sentiment that they were going for. But these two go perfectly against each other because of some of their similarities. CGI animals who get into mischief and take on New York City, check. Bringing in SNL cast members in a desperate attempt to show off the best comedy New York City has to offer, check. A rally for millennial moms against Rotten Tomato critics who dare criticize their childhood icons brought back to life for their kids, double check. You know, I'm actually starting to side with audience reviews over Rotten Tomato critics because I found both of these movies decently entertaining. So without further ado, let's start off with the latest, Clifford the Big Red Dog.
You may not believe it, but there is magic all around us.
Y'all remember Air Bud, Beethoven? You're pretty much gonna get more of the same here. But remember, no kid should ever grow up without a tale of canine companionship against the face of crooks who want to harm an innocent animal. This is the story of Emily, an outcast at school who meets Clifford, the Big Red Dog, who only gets bigger the more you love him. Amplified by an incompetent uncle and an evil pharmaceutical company who wants to use Clifford for research, Emily and Clifford must help each other discover love, courage, and what it means to stand out as an outcast in the world. A pharmaceutical company that wants to use the dog for harm? Remember when pharmaceuticals were the bad guys? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Anyways, I know it's a kids movie, but one of my gripes with this movie was that it was actually too short. It was too short for them to actually dive into any themes beyond a superficial level. But it's cute, and it has its moments of comic relief packed in an hour and a half kid-friendly package.
Ew, bless you. Shouldn't we try to hide him or something?
It's New York. No one will even notice.
After a lifetime of being the world's most famous enemies,
Next up is Tom and Jerry, who kept their infamous bouts and banter in an overrun mess. It's fun in 15-minute doses, but as a full movie, this movie needs to be way shorter. This movie is about... well, it's not really about anything. A hotel temp looking for work has to prove to the world that she's capable of keeping a job. Tom and Jerry aren't even the main characters, which sometimes is okay, but they have zero chemistry with Chloe Grace Moretz, which is an essential part to any kid story. No, cuteness and slapstick doesn't get you across the finish line, and even though it was only technically 5 minutes longer than Clifford, this movie felt like it would never end, with some of the most pointless B stories and the most pointless B actor of all time. Someone get Mr. Johansson out of here.
We could hire an exterminator, or we can leverage millions of years of predatory evolution.
One thing I did like about Tom and Jerry though is the production. Compared to Clifford, who had some inconsistency problems and a few off CGI shots, Tom and Jerry was a masterpiece. I didn't even realize it, but all the animals in Tom and Jerry were cartoon, and the interaction between the cartoons and the people were seamless by comparison. Tom and Jerry also on their own would retain the attention of kids better, but it lacks theme, chemistry, and a sense of tension in any part of the story. Which when you think of all the iconic kids movies in the past, they all had a strong sense of good and evil, right and wrong, and hits all the primal themes of friendship, love, fear, and compassion. And to be honest, Jerry's kind of a jerk. So much so that I actually felt bad for Tom. This is where Clifford excels, especially in the third act, where the whole community assembles for Emily and Clifford. I mean, Tom and Jerry did have an iconic team up at the end, but it's more just fan service than an actual real storm the castle moment. So, for being a better story, one that is meant to be a feel-good movie for the whole family, I'd give my props to Clifford, the Big Red Dog, for taking this week's Odd Movie Comparison.
Oh look, they're playing!